Welcome to Watch Mojo, and today we're examining 10 movies so disgusting they were banned from theaters.
How disgusting! Get this table soaking wet!
For this list, we'll be looking at the most visually revolting films that were prohibited from being shown theatrically. Have you managed to stomach any of these movies? Let us know in the comments below. The Devils. Written and directed by Ken Russell, The Devils is an enormously controversial fictionalized film about the historical French priest Urbain Grandier.
But the devil has spoken, and to doubt his word is sacrilege.
Grandier was executed in the 17th century due to accusations of witchcraft. The Devils is filled with explicit violence, including scenes of self-harm and Christ being nailed to the cross. This, combined with the movie's overt and offensive sexual imagery, riled censors around the world.
Why don't you offer up your pain to God? You live by your senses, obviously you can die by them.
The Devils was heavily edited and rated X in the US and UK. It was also outright banned in Finland. People in the latter country weren't able to see the movie until 2001, 3 decades after its release.
If they are not driven out, your devils might, by their infernal arts, prevent the torture from being as excruciating as it should be. And then you would never confess, and your soul would be damned for eternity.
The Texas Chainsaw Massacre. By today's standards, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre is arguably tame.
The events of that day were to lead to the discovery of one of the most bizarre crimes in the annals of American history, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
A good chunk of the violence is committed off-screen, and the film isn't all that gory, all things considered. This was an intentional creative decision, as director Tobe Hooper wanted a PG rating. That didn't come close to happening. The MPAA initially bypassed the R rating and went straight to X, the 70s equivalent of NC-17.
I'll do anything you want.
The movie faced an even worse reaction in other countries. Canadian theaters in Ottawa were threatened by authorities for showing it, and the BBFC banned it in Britain for a time. This was one of many locations to outlaw the film, joining the likes of Brazil, Ireland, France, and Sweden, to name a few.
You just shut up. Remember, you're just a cook, and me and him will handle this. Get on with it. I won't have this.
Maniac. A cult classic of the slasher genre, Maniac follows a serial killer named Frank Zito, who targets women.
I told you not to go out tonight, didn't I? Every time you go out, this kind of thing happens.
The movie initially received poor reviews and was heavily criticized for its violence. Indeed, the killings in Maniac are shown in explicit and graphic detail, which doesn't always make for comfortable viewing.
To me, things change. People die. But in a painting or a picture, they're yours forever.
The film came out without a rating in the United States, and the BBFC refused to pass it in the UK. This resulted in a de facto ban, and its release was prohibited for over 20 years. It was finally passed in 2002 with edits, but it didn't see a full, uncensored release in the country until 2022.
I won't ever let them take you away from me.
Hostel Part 2. The first Hostel was gross enough, but like many sequels, Part 2 ramped up everything that made the movie so successful.
To the next level.
To the next level. Now wait, isn't it bad luck to toast with water?
Yeah. Bad luck for whoever meets us today.
In this case, that meant turning the violence from extreme and disgusting to borderline unbearable. It was even labeled sadistic by the MPAA when they slapped it with an R rating. Some countries weren't so lenient.
You don't get it. These people are tied into everyone. Somebody starts asking questions, they're going to come after me, and they're going to find me.
The movie was banned in New Zealand as the necessary edits to eliminate the problematic content weren't made. It was also heavily censored in Germany. The so-called extended version has been outlawed in the country, and the film's distribution has been made illegal.
Any idea what you're gonna do in there?
You don't even want to know.
I Spit on Your Grave. Roger Ebert famously dubbed this movie a vile bag of garbage, and many censorship boards would agree with him. I Spit on Your Grave is an exploitative revenge film in which Jennifer Hills hunts and kills those who've hurt her. To this day, the movie is extremely hard to stomach, with lengthy scenes of overt sexual violence. In fact, the producer tried making the movie as revolting as possible.
I got a family,
A nice-looking wife, 2 beautiful kids, and you don't care? No guilty conscience?
Once it was rated R by the MPAA, more disturbing content was added, warranting an X. Many European countries argued against the content of the movie and prohibited its release in theaters. In fact, it remains banned in Ireland as of 2022.
Don't miss your chance, Matthew. Do it, Matthew. Come on, it's your chance. You'll never regret it. Don't blow it.
Cannibal Holocaust. There are notorious movies, and then there's Cannibal Holocaust.
4 youngsters who never came back. But let's have a look at them at the beginning of their incredible adventure.
Much ink has been spilled regarding this movie's reputation and its place in film history. An early found footage film, it follows a small group of filmmakers who go missing in the Amazon rainforest.
Look, I know this is not going to be a picnic. Believe me, this is not my first trip into the bush.
The violence is so detailed and graphic that some people thought it was real, and the movie's director was charged with homicide. Evidence eventually exonerated him. It's also filled with real animal mistreatments. The controversy snowballed, resulting in widespread bans around the world. The prohibitions reached all corners of the map, including, but certainly not limited to, New Zealand.
I wonder who the real cannibals are.
The Human Centipede 2. Full sequence. Society has arguably become more accepting of movie violence throughout the years.
I'm sorry. I'm going to have to go. There's nothing to worry about. I'm sure it's just a passing phase.
What passes as mainstream horror today would struggle to be accepted just a few decades ago. The Human Centipede 2, full sequence, is a rare exception because it's just that graphic. This infamous film was met with backlash for its horrifying visuals and sick story.
I was really drawn to the film because of the medical aspect of it. If you were a surgeon, you could actually perform that surgery. It's just so scary.
It was initially banned by the BBFC, who even argued that it was an obscene film that might defy a national act of parliament. It was eventually passed following some significant edits. A similar series of events occurred in Australia, and the movie was essentially outlawed in New Zealand. It was never released at theaters, and even the DVD is banned there.
This music is driving me crazy. I can't stand this anymore.
Pink Flamingos. John Waters is one of the most popular cult filmmakers of all time, and Pink Flamingos may be his masterpiece.
Watch, as Divine proves that not only is she the filthiest person in the world, she is also the filthiest actress in the world.
But the Midnight Movie certainly isn't for everyone. The entire film calls itself an exercise in poor taste, with drag queen Divine playing the so-called filthiest person alive.
This beautiful mobile home you see before you is the current hideout of the notorious beauty Divine, the filthiest person alive.
The MPAA gave the movie an NC-17 rating in 1997, citing a wide range of perversions, which is an apt description. The ending alone, which involves dog feces, is definitely not for the faint of heart. Perhaps not surprisingly, the movie garnered quite the reputation and was banned in multiple countries, including Switzerland, parts of Norway, and Australia.
Gross, but I liked it. Well, it was really the grossest film I'd seen.
A Serbian film. Perhaps the most notorious movie of our time, a Serbian film's reputation certainly precedes it. The story follows a man named Miloš as he is forced to participate in a sickening snuff film. It's been studied in academic circles, and its director claims that it's a piece of political commentary. But most people struggle to look past its repulsive elements.
Miloše, treba samo da uđete u njih I putujete ka ostvarenju vaših snova I mojih ličnih profesionalnih fantazija.
Filled to the brim with inappropriate elements, a Serbian film has been repeatedly challenged by film censorship boards. Numerous places, including but not limited to Spain and New Zealand, have banned the film since its release in 2010.
Pa ne znam na šta potpisujem, ne znam šta snimam. I ne treba da znaš. Da znaš
ne bi bio tako dobar.
Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. You have the option to be notified for occasional videos or all of them. If you're on your phone, make sure you go into your settings and switch on notifications. Salò, or the 120 Days of Sodom. For many, Salò, or the 120 Days of Sodom, exists as the ultimate intersection between art and tasteless perversion.
Now it'll take an hour till I can overcome that disgusting image and get excited.
The film explores many intense themes and takes cues from some classic works of art. Even its filmmaking is generally well regarded, and some consider it a classic piece of cinema. But others can't ignore the depravity at the center of the movie, with the story revolving around the mistreatment of teenagers at the hands of libertines.
Listen, you insignificant, wretched nothings. You are here solely for our pleasure. Expect none of the kindness you knew in the outside world, like liberty or the ridiculous idea of showing pity to others.
A slew of countries took umbrage with the content and banned it from theaters, including the United Kingdom, Australia, and New Zealand. Even today, Salò, or the 120 Days of Sodom, makes for a supremely challenging watch.
The purpose of these stories is to inflame the imagination, and any form of lust will be permitted.